May 6, 2024, at 7 p.m. for an informational meeting on Article 1, and on Tuesday, May 7th, 2024, from 7 a.m. through 7 p.m. at the Town Offices, 77 Main Street in Middlebury, to vote by Australian ballot on Article 1 as provided by the Middlebury Town Charter. This is, welcome everybody. It's an informational only town meeting, so there will be no voting on the floor, no actions taken on the article tonight. If you wish to participate, I ask that you raise your hand, either in the room or via Zoom hand, and wait for me to call on you. Once recognized, please remember to state your name for the record. There are a few members of the town administration who are not residents that may participate this evening. Town Manager Kathleen Ramsey and Ilsley Library Director Dana Hart. Is there any objection to these non-Middlebury residents speaking this evening? I didn't think so, but hearing no objection, they will be welcome to speak. If anyone from the public that's participating is not a Middlebury resident, please just give me a heads up on that. As long as there's no objection, I'm just going to allow you to speak, okay? Let's read Article 1. Shall general obligation bonds or notes of the town of Middlebury in an amount not to exceed $16,995,000, subject to an anticipated reduction of $8,500,000 from available alternate sources of funding, including fundraising, grants, and energy efficiency rebates, and the anticipated use of local option tax receipts to make an annual bond payment in estimated amount of $4 million. Be issued for the purpose of renovating and expanding the Ilsley Public Library at an estimated cost of $16,995,000. That's the question before us tomorrow. I'm going to invite Ilsley Library Director Dana Hart up to speak to you about Article 1.
Come stand at the lectern and be very official. Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming tonight. I'm going to do just a brief informational presentation, which I think you can see on the screen right up there. I'm not going to go super detailed on the designs, but I want to remind everyone that there is a wealth of information available on the library's website, as well as recordings of previous meetings that go through the designs in great detail. All right, we can go to the next slide, Kathleen. So just to remind everyone, this project has been in the works for some years. The Ilsley 100 project team has been working on it for the past 3 years. They have tried very hard to involve the community in every step along the way, gathering lots of community feedback, and that input has really been taken seriously. And so I hope that when the community looks at these plans, they see themselves and their own input in it. We can go to the next slide. So the plan that we have put forward calls for increasing library space by about a third. The current building as it stands right now is what you see in yellow. The dotted line indicates the historic building, which will remain. The two additions on either side of that original building will come down, and then the dark line indicates the new footprint. It looks quite large, and that's because we're going from 4 floors down to 2, which is much better operationally. That is what we have the staffing to accommodate. You'll notice that the new addition will kind of cross over that dotted line at the top, which indicates where the parking lot currently is. The parking lot is just going to be angled, re-angled, so that we maintain the same number of parking spots. You can go to the next slide, Kathleen. I realize that these plans are too small to really be legible on the screen in front of you. But again, I encourage you to take a look at the library's website. There is a recording of a public meeting that took place on April 15th, where we go through each of these floors and every space in the proposed plan. You can go to the next slide, Kathleen. These are just a few renderings of what the building will look like. As you can see from Main Street, the historic building is still very prominent. The addition has been designed to be very respectful, deferential to the original building, and historic preservation has been involved from the very beginning of these designs. Next slide. This is a view from the back parking lot, elevated as if you were hovering in a blimp or something like that. You're looking down on the new renovation, the new expansion, which includes an elevated outdoor programming space, as well as the back of the historic building. And you can see that the roof line is kind of in keeping with the fabric of the downtown, and this proposed addition will really sit nicely in Main Street. Next slide. This is a view as if you just walked in the new primary entrance, which will be at grade from the back parking lot. To your right, you can see through the glass windows the children's room, and to your left is the back of the historic building. So all that original masonry will be preserved and restored, and it's kind of going to be washed in natural light from those skylights up above. We can go to the next slide. This is a view standing behind the circulation desk. The glass door to your right is looking out onto Main Street. That is going to be another at-grade entrance. One of the things we're really excited about with this plan is that it provides 2 handicapped accessible entrances. I think that will go a long way towards making us more welcoming to all members of the community. You can see there's a new interior staircase and a centrally located elevator right there. We can go to the next slide. This is the children's room, birth through elementary school. The plan doubles the space for youth services, and it adds a new distinct space for middle school students and also a new space for high school students. Those aren't pictured here because they will be separate from the children's room, which will make life so much easier for them and for us and everyone. But this is just a nice view of a light-filled first floor children's room, which will just be a dream for us to have, I think. Next slide. This is up on the second floor. This is looking at some of the adult stacks, as well as a quiet meeting area, reading area that looks out onto the roof garden. Next slide. So, how much will it all cost? The total project budget is just under $17 million, $16,995. Because this project will utilize geothermal heat or energy, we will get a $500,000 federal energy rebate. So that brings the total project cost down to just under 16.5. We can go to the next slide. And thanks to the project team and the select board and lots of people working really hard, I'm happy to say that the taxpayers won't be on the hook for that full amount. We anticipate $6 million through private donations. We have launched a capital campaign. We are still in the early phase of that, but I can share that so far we've received $3.7 million in gifts and pledges. So we're well on our way and making good progress there. We're hoping to get $2 million in state and federal grants. The bulk of that will hopefully come from the Department of Libraries. We've applied for $1.5 million from them. And we've then applied to 3 separate grants, each $500,000. And we're hoping to get one of those. If we get 2, that would be wonderful. But we're hoping for at least 1 out of the 3. A couple smaller foundation grants thrown in there. And then the select board has proposed using $4 million from the local option tax over the next 20 years to pay back a portion of the bond, which would leave just under $4.5 million in municipal borrowing that taxpayers would pay back. And the tax impact of that 20-year bond for $4.5 million would be just about $39 per $100,000 of assessed property value annually. Next slide, which I think is the timeline. Tonight we have our bond information meeting, and we can answer questions in just a moment. The vote will be tomorrow, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. right out there in the town offices. Capital campaign will continue throughout the summer and fall. If the bond vote is successful, we will move forward with design development and construction documents through the summer and fall. We will also be working on permitting starting in the fall. Project will go out to bid in January of 2025. The library will move to our temporary location in the Duclos building on Main Street, thanks to the National Bank of Middlebury, shortly thereafter. And then construction would begin in April of 2025. We would hope to move into the new library building in July of 2026. Next slide, which is the last one. Happy to answer questions, and we also have Kathleen and Brian and Chris Huston, and I'm sure between all of us we can answer questions. Unless there's something else formal that has to happen that I don't know about.
Nope.
Okay.
Any questions in the room? In the back?
Hi, I'm Natasha Sen. I am a resident of Middlebury. And one question.
Does she need to come up to the microphone in order to be recorded?
That would be great.
Can you come up to the seat up here? Thank you. Start again with your name. Thank you.
My name is Natasha Sen. I'm a Middlebury resident. And I just wanted some clarification about what the cost would be to not do this project and to maintain the building as it is. If you could talk a little bit about that would be for comparison.
That's a great question. Thank you, Natasha. The project team early in their process considered a possible scope of work that would be renovating the existing building. That worked out to about $5.5 million. Short of a renovation, if we were just to try and stay in the building and just get it up to code and safe to occupy and sort of stabilize it, that would be between $2 and $3 million.
Kathleen, is there anybody online that's asking
We
questions?
have a couple of folks online. If you're online and you'd like to ask a question, please raise your hand.
Thank you.
Not seeing any hands.
No hands. Any other questions in the room? Easy audience. Give the online people one more chance. Does anybody else want to say anything in regards to the project before?
Just encourage them to vote.
Yeah, in the back.
We do have a hand online.
Okay, come on up, Victoria. We'll take the online first and then let Victoria talk. Thank you.
Kathleen, can you stop screen sharing the PowerPoint?
I tried to do that. Hold on. Let me. We have Linda Pitkin coming in. I've stopped it on my screen. I don't know what's going on. Oh, I know. We have to do them.
She's gone.
Linda Pitkin, whenever you're ready, you can speak.
She needs to unmute her.
You need to unmute first, though.
There we go, finally.
Yay, go ahead.
I'm wondering if this is the final design or whether there are modifications yet that can be made.
Thanks for that question. Yep, I heard that. So the question, in case anyone in the room didn't hear, was are the plans that are presented the final plans, or is there time or option to make modifications? And so we're just about done with schematic design. So I would say the big picture things are pretty set, like the number of rooms that we have, how big those rooms and areas are, where they're located. But those are pretty much set. There are a number of decisions that haven't been made yet. There's a lot of work ahead of us. But I think those are going to be smaller, more detail-oriented decisions coming up.
Thank you.
Did you want to speak, Victoria?
Victoria DeWitt, Middlebury. that question just now was pretty much what I was going to ask, is what's the next step? Assuming the bond will pass, what's the public process going forward, and how firm are these designs? It doesn't feel like it's changed much since the original proposal. I don't know that there's been different ways for people to express things. I don't know. My sense is there hasn't been a lot of response to public input, and I don't know how much public input on design you've had. So, but I would hope that going forward, there will be opportunity for things to, in response to the public concerns. And so.
Thanks for that, Victoria. So I guess I would just add there has been a large amount of public feedback submitted via comment cards, emails to me, participation in focus groups and things like that. And I do really think that the project team and our professional design team has taken it seriously. I mean, one big thing I can think of right off the top of my head is the parking lot. That was not part of the original plan. That was factored in. There have also been smaller design changes that I think wouldn't jump out at you. And the small example that comes to my mind is there's now a small service desk right next to the middle school and high school rooms. That we had never planned on having a service desk there, but in response to comments from parents of children in those ages, we decided we need to put a desk over there and include that in our plan. So I think that there has been meaningful input and action taken, but I also want to assure you that we can continue to receive feedback in the process going forward. I don't have a super clear idea of exactly what meetings are going to be happening when. We're kind of waiting to see what happens tomorrow, and then we'll regroup with the design team and figure out what the next steps are.
I'd love to see, well, I know one of your concerns was being able to monitor all the spaces in the library, and I don't see that that's possible the way the old library has been built around.
Yeah, and I don't know.
It's not as integrated into the new library as I would hope it could have been. But how will you supervise what's going on in there without adding a whole nother desk?
Well, and one thing I think I've learned is that it would be impossible to have one service desk that sees everything. We're not going to have a panopticon as our library. That'd be uncomfortable for everyone, I think. But one of the great solutions that I think we've identified is just having a staff presence on both floors, which will help a lot. And then we might not be able, we might not be able to see from the downstairs service desk into the historic building, but we can see who's going in there and coming out. And that's a problem that we have right now. We can have people come in the building and get up to the third floor, and we don't know who's here. We don't know how long they're there. If they were to have something happened up there, we wouldn't even know. So it's not perfect. I don't know that it ever could be, but I have a lot of confidence that the safety aspect regarding sight lines will be tremendously improved with this design.
Good. Well, I certainly hope public process will continue in some kind of organized way.
And we hope you'll continue to attend meetings and participate yourself, Victoria.
Is there anyone else online that wishes to speak? Anyone else in the room? There's a hand up. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Meg Baker, and I just want to say thank you, especially to Dana and the ILSI 100 team. They have put in hours upon hours of work on this, thinking about what would happen if the design, if the library was moved to another location. What do we need to be thinking about in the design? How can we finance this? And what are the spaces that need to be near to each other? So I really think the amount of work that has been put into this and soliciting public feedback has been incredible. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
We have another hand from Linda Pitkin.
All right. Go ahead, Linda. Don't forget to unmute.
This was not my first design choice, and I know you folks have put in a lot of thought about choosing this one. Could you give us some highlights of why you went with this rather than, say, the one that was done by the Middlebury architects that really incorporated the old library?
So
Thank you. That's it.
that's a great question. And we remain extremely grateful to all the architectural firms that participated in that design competition. There were a lot of wonderful things about that process. And there was also a really big drawback to going that route, which was that there were two wonderful designs that we couldn't move forward with, and two great firms that that we weren't able to move forward with. And so that was obviously really difficult. But all the designs presented through the design competition were fantastic. The project team did work with an independent architectural advisory committee, which provided feedback on all three designs. They solicited and received a huge amount of feedback from community members that either attended the presentation or viewed the plans as they were displayed in the library. Things that I'm having to cast my mind back now, but things that really helped the REARC Weeman Lamphere project move to the top were, I think, the two-story scheme was a big one. And there were things I loved about all of them. And I don't know that tonight is the night to get into all of those details, but I guess I would again say that there's lots of resources on the website, and I encourage you to go back and look at the meeting minutes and all the information from that period of the process. Does that answer your question, Linda? Oh, okay. I hope it does.
Anyone else like to speak? There's no one online? No one in the room? I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Has been moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.